Hi, it's Phil, and today I'm going to show you how to create quick and easy slideshows in After Effects. It's called layer sequencing. Most users haven't heard about this powerful command that sorts hundreds of layers instantly. Let's check it out. Say you have a dog, and therefore take lots of photos of said dog, but say you're obsessed with your dog. In that case, you need to create a slideshow. So what we've got here is a bunch of photos in After Effects of our lovely dog, Jojo. And what we're going to do to start creating the slideshow is we're going to drag the photos into our timeline. And voila, we have them all ordered just the way we want them. Just a quick tip for you, I'm going to Command Z to undo that. If your photos using that method are not being imported in the order you want them to be, you can actually change that by just changing the ascending or descending name setting here in the label. So if I click this and I drag the JoJo photos into the timeline, it now imports them in a descending manner. But we actually want ascending. So I'm going to reverse that, drag them back into the timeline again, and here we are. So as you can see in our preview window here, we have lots of photos that are not the right size. Now we could go into each of these and try to scale them and size them correctly. Perhaps, we have about 27 odd photos here. Maybe you've got hundreds of photos. So I'm just going to Command Z and do that. What you can do is use some of the powerful commands After Effects has that are basically in the fit to comp class. And let me show you what that means. So the thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to Command A, and if you're on a PC, please just change all the command shortcuts to use Control. So for this command, it would be Control A. But since I'm on a Mac, it's Command A, so I've selected all my layers. And what we can try first is something called Fit to Comp. Now this will make every single image we've selected, every single layer, conform specifically to our composition size, which currently is 1920 by 1080. And that command to fit and constrain all of these images to that size is Option Command F. Now I don't know if you can see it, but most of these, in the case of a lot of these photos, it will stretch or it will condense the photos in ways that aren't proportional to the original. So we're not going to use that command. But there are other ways of conforming these images to our composition size. So the next one I'm going to try is conforming to the height. So the shortcut command to conform to the height of the composition is Shift Option Command G. So now what we'll see as my computer is working here, it'll show every single image has now conformed to the specific height of the composition. Now because I know the images, I know most of them are formatted horizontally, so I think actually the best conforming command for these photos will actually be for them to conform to the width of the composition. And that command is Shift Option Command H. And there we have it. Now we don't have any black bars on the sides of our images. Great, so you've resized your images, you're ready to create your amazing dog slideshow. So I'm just going to go Shift Command A to deselect all those layers. So you're faced with a bit of a challenge here when you've got all these layers and you want to shift them around. You have to, it can take a lot of time depending on how many images you have to create your slideshow. And so this is where the powerful command layer sequencing comes into play. So the first thing we're going to do to make this command work is we're going to select all our layers again, so with Command A. Then we're going to go up to our menu. There's no default shortcut for this command. So we'll go into Animation, and under Keyframe Assistant, we'll find Sequence Layers. So we'll let go of that, and I'll just unclick Overlap for now, and I'll show you what that means in a second, and I'll hit OK. And so what's happened? It appears After Effects has disappeared pretty much all of our layers. Well, what's actually happened is the Sequence Layers command works with the layer length in your timeline. So because all of our layers were the entire length of our composition, you can see just over here there's a bit of a hint of a layer. They basically all left our timeline. So we need to undo that. And before we use the command again, we need to just think a step ahead. How long do we want to see each photo on screen? And I'm thinking for this about 3 seconds each. So I'm just going to click on our little our number here. I'm going to type in 300 for 3 seconds. And with all my layers selected, I'm going to use the Option right square bracket to crop all of those layers. So now every single layer in our composition is cropped to 3 seconds in length. So let's go back to the Keyframe Assistant under Animation, and let's try that command one more time. So we'll let go Sequence Layers and hit OK, and here we go. Now we have every single layer butted up once against each other here, and each is exactly 3 seconds long. So that's great. Now there's other options that I'll show you. So let's just undo that again. So Command Z, go back to the command under Animation, Keyframe Assistant, Sequence Layers, and I'll show you this overlap option. So if you click that, you can actually, After Effects will automatically produce cross dissolves between your different layers using the opacity property. So in this case, I'm going to just make that duration about 15 frames, so you can control the duration of the dissolve, and you can have it dissolve just the front layer, or you can cross dissolve between both layers. I think I'm going to try dissolve front layer and hit OK. So now you can see, if we use the plus sign to zoom into our timeline a bit here, you can see there's a slight overlap between each of these layers. And if I use the U key to show the opacity properties, you can see there is actually keyframing that After Effects has applied to every single one of these layers to produce a cross dissolve. So I'm going to press U again to close all of those properties and just do a quick RAM preview. And there you have it. JoJo the slideshow. That's pretty good. Before I leave you, I'm going to show you one quick way to produce this slideshow super fast. I showed you the fast way. Now I'm going to show you super fast. So I'm going to close this composition, and I'm going to actually delete this composition in my project window. And say you just imported your photos. You can actually just right-click on your folder of photos and say New Comp from Selection, and you're actually presented with a bunch of options that are about layer sequencing. After Effects is reading your mind. So in this case, if you want a slideshow, we would keep it to single composition, and so you can pick how long each of your stills will last on screen. Say maybe you want it to be up for 4 seconds each. And then here, under the sequence layers option, when it's checked, you can also add your overlap. So you can do all of this straight from the get-go right after you've imported your photos. So I'll press OK. And now I've got my composition with all my photos in a slideshow. All right, that's layer sequencing in After Effects. Thanks for watching.